Okay.
At the table, you got.
We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we are televising on the TV out in the hall too if we end up with too big a crowd. You're all welcome to. Anyway, do we have any minutes and reports received and filed?
No, we do not.
Okay. Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
HBA board meeting this afternoon, planning commission meeting tonight, HBA general membership meeting Wednesday. The Missouri Solid Waste Management Board meeting Thursday. And then Friday, Roosevelt and the Christmas dinner. That's about it until next week.
The Russellville Christmas is tomorrow. Is the governor's prayer breakfast.
Yeah, I'm going to go to that. Governor's prayer breakfast at 7 a.m. Historic City of Jefferson annual meeting is at 6 p.m. Thursday, I have traffic and safety. The 250th committee has a meeting Thursday evening. Friday morning, there's the Chamber Leadership Forum and then the Russellville Holiday Social. So that is all I have. We're going to deviate a little bit from the agenda because signing of the cooperative agreement with Missouri Department of Social Services for IVD county reimbursement grant. We're going to do that first since you have to be.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Out of Cole County.
There's four.
Okay.
Yeah, what was it exactly? Which one is it?
The cooperative agreement with Cowley, Cole, Marys, Osage, and
Okay.
Gasconade for the child support for the grant.
Gotcha, yeah.
And Jill has looked it over.
Okay, yeah.
Has reviewed it. It is, in essence, identical in terms of what the county's obligations are to the previous years. There's a few obligations that affect me personally, but and what we do upstairs, but nothing that affects the county.
Okay, thanks.
I'll make a motion that the county sign contract number ER1022607, county reimbursement cooperative agreement.
Second.
Okay. Is there any comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will sign it.
Several spots.
Okay.
Cowley missed.
Okay. Do you don't need
to?
I'll give it to our.
Okay.
Yes, I know.
Perfect.
I can
Thank
do
you.
it as long as I don't have to initial
Sarah
the
will
page.
get it back to you.
Thank
after
you very
everybody
much.
does.
Okay. Then we have a presentation from staff, consultants, and invited guests. And this is awesome. But anyway, we have the Friends of the Wren family, concerned Friends of the Wren family, Cole County, Missouri, here to speak to us. I think Mark Knapp and Carla Steck are on our agenda as being as speakers, and you said you also have someone else with a letter, so we'll include those. But if you would like to, you or Carla want to start?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I just want to say thanks for letting us come in and talk and hearing us out. We appreciate that. One, I guess, and I have an outline here that the guys helped me put together. I'm not used to public speaking, so if I look nervous, it's true. But anyway, I do want to say the first thing I would want to make note of is that our plea and cry and beg is that you guys would reach out to Judge Green and file an injunction to stop the scheduled sale of the Wren property so that we can have more time to take serious the Wren family's wishes. I want to say that first. And then one of the things that the bank's attorney is they hang their hat on was 4 words that were added to the Wren trust in 2019. The trust was originally written in 2001. And so for 18 years, all it said and all it talked about was the park, period. So anyway, last night, this morning, I finished kind of writing a letter that I was going to send over to Greg Bexton, which is, he's the president, so he's having to step up and, be the head of this, to represent them. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but the first part I wanted to address, and I'm just going to read what I wrote to a letter to Greg and to who it may concern in the bank. And it's just to address that amendment, because that amendment's my fault, actually. So anyway, I'd kind of address this. It's just, I got it in big font, so it's not as bad as it looks. But to Greg and to who it may concern, I wanted to address the amendment that was produced 12/27/19. The reason Lawrence Jr. Wren asked to have college scholarships added to the trust as a Plan B came from a conversation that he and I had. I asked him if the county turns it down due to liability concerns that maybe he should consider a Plan B like college scholarships. It was never the intention for college scholarships to become an option over the park, period. I gave you an example of the dam breach that was above Bronado off Highway 54 that was in the news. Didn't seem like it was that long ago, but when I Googled it, it showed November of 2019 that KRCG had the article. The county was having to step up.
2009, I think.
2009.
Yes.
Did I say 19?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
wrote down 2009. Sorry.
That was a long time ago.
Sorry about that. The county was having to step in. The county had to step in to assist in handling that situation. So it was my thoughts that they may turn down the gift for that reason. As I recall, the bank's attorney prepared that amendment in 2019 that updated that language and updated beneficiaries also at that time. Because as people would pass away, Junior would go in and update the beneficiaries. You can confirm who prepared that document and let me know. The language added 4 words and no details. I'm going to say that again. The language added 4 words and no details. You can see in the original trust, starting on page 2, section 3.5, the language begins on their intentions for the park. And it has 355 words about that. The last few years of his life, he began to talk about the park a lot more. He never talked about scholarships. For 18 years, the trust made no mention of anything but that park. He told me and many others about the park. He told me that he had the money to develop and maintain the park, but he did want the county to put a little skin in the game, and then would lower his head with a grin and say, "But I have the money to do it all." I'm not going to read all of it in regards to that, and I don't want to throw her under the bus, but I reached out to Janet Lukenoff, was the representative for Primrose Independent Living Center. In 2015, we had sold the side of the farm, which is now where the Daisy Farm was at. And Janet helped Junior pick out furniture, decorate his apartment. They became very close. And matter of fact, her and her husband would take Junior out to his lake to go fishing, because of course he would talk about the fishing out there and stuff. So, in the last couple of weeks, I had reached out to Janet, and because she would have had a lot of intimate conversations with him as well every day, because he's seen her every day. But I asked it, did Junior talk about the park much to you? And she's like, a lot and often. And so just for verification, I asked her here just a few minutes ago, by the way, did he ever talk about college scholarships or details of that? And that was a no. He never talked about the college scholarships. Guys, that was to be totally a Plan B. Now move on, I'm not going to pick on her. I know they were teasing her she was going to have to talk, but I wanted her up here for basically for my support, because but myself and Mike and Gary Shepperly, his nephews, and Janet were probably the 4 human beings that had the closest relationship with Lawrence for the last several years of his life. My relationship started in the year 2000. Never would I have dreamed that I was going to be sitting in a commissioner meeting on TV defending what his wishes were for his trust. I'm going to say one more little clip that I wrote, and I just did this morning as I have received phone calls and people coming up to me, and so there's been some neat stuff. And I know it's just another thing on the agenda for most of you guys, but it's a big deal to myself and to the family and to the friends and these neighbors and to a lot of people in the community. There's been over 1,000 people signed a petition. Most of them, there's probably 10% that aren't Cole County, because I had Callaway County friends asking, can we sign it? You know, they work here, they go to school here. Old Summit people pay taxes to Jeff City School District. I don't live here, but I paid over $6,000 for property taxes last year, so I feel like they should have a voice. But we're not trying to pass a law. So, but anyway, there is over 1,000 people. Here's a quick note. I think about the faith-based community that we live in. And it's been pretty darn cool to see and hear from faith-based people in our community. From requests of neighbors in these 2 rallies we had in the last 2 weeks or meetings, we opened and closed in prayer in the recent gatherings. I was asked to do that by a neighbor. And we asked Dr. Monty Schinkel to close us in prayer. He also prayed with me before one of the rallies as well. I've received calls from prayer warrior women informing me that they're praying for our county government and the leaders that included yourself and other decision makers at the bank. I know you are a faith-based man, this was directed to Greg, that is serving the same God that I am, and I'm glad of that. And I was recently reflecting on a scripture in 2 Corinthians 3:3. It says, you are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. It's written on our hearts now, not just what is written in the law. Pretty cool thought for this situation. The attorneys may have written it in a way that would allow for dismissing the Wren's wishes, but it's written on our hearts what the right thing is to do. God knew the outcome God knew the outcome of all of this way before any of us. So to find peace, I'm rolling with His will be done. Then I'm going to move on to the more, business end of that, but I wanted to kind of fire that at you to begin with. Guys, we're wanting you to revisit the acceptance of that land. We're wanting you to approach Jill Dobbs to open discussion on the Wren Memorial Park. Jill has taken the place of Dan Renfro, which was the trust representative that really has been behind the wheel of all these discussions up until now, or minimal discussions, I might say. Certain commissioners, which were unaware of the availability of funds to develop and maintain the park, with their words in the trust. Had they been aware, would it have prompted additional questions and further discussion? So I guess there's my question to you guys. Had you been aware of funds in the trust, would it have added additional questions and further discussion? If that's the thing you're going to answer, I'm going to keep rolling here.
That was a question, yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's
good.
why I'm here right now, considering it, yeah. If we knew what we knew then, yes.
Mark, I would like to just make one comment here. You said, want to revisit the exception of that land. We never had the opportunity to accept the land. It is a land lease, and it is not real estate that the county would ever own. And that has not been told to the public. The public doesn't understand why we wouldn't accept the land. We never were offered the land. We were offered a land lease. Whatever improvements we would make on it, we would never really own. And I want that plain, that people understand there was no land offered.
To give you.
Correct?
That's correct. And I would say in the original trust, it did have mentioned that was originally, he was going to do that. Or that was going to be a consideration, or the lease when you read the original trust. And again, he and I hung out a lot. We, since the year 2000, we were together every day. I started renting the farm from him then. he would call me basically within 10 minutes of daylight. He'd already been through my cows and knew who was about to calve or who did just calve or whatever. But anyway, we're close. But I, in conversation with him, said, what if the county doesn't do what you told them to do? By God, they better. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? You're dead. So he took that, made it more direct to where it was to be a lease because he was trusting the trust to have oversight of you guys, that you would fulfill his wishes, which included that 350 words of language that he had in the trust. So if you weren't to do that, that's why he did switch it to just be a lease. That, again, that was from a conversation that he and I had. So, okay.
Yeah, Mark, I wish, and didn't happen, I wish that he would have come before us when he was still alive and we could have discussed this because it would have made it much easier. You know, part of my decision, you know, we asked the trust how many funds are available for developing and maintaining this park. And they said that his intention was to lease us the land, and the county would develop it. They said there was $15,000 to $20,000 in the trust that could be used for development and maintenance. That was back in '24, I think, when we signed this. I talked to the trust department last week, and I said, so, you know, we're hearing there's $3 million, there's $4 million. Is there that kind of money to develop this park? No, it's still $15,000 to $20,000 is what would be available to us to develop this park. We couldn't even buy the gravel to put a road in for $15,000 or $20,000. So, you know, it's.
So, right, I'm just going to fast forward. I mean, we're past all this. I think there are some misinformation and misunderstandings that Commissioner Otto had mentioned. We were never offered the land. It wasn't going to be ours. So, be very clear about that. That is true. And we talked about that at the meeting. I had closed session on last week to revisit this. We were told that we couldn't have closed session, correct? This is our county counselor, Jill, who said we couldn't have closed session because we're no longer at beneficiary interest in the trust, correct?
Among other reasons.
Okay, what other reasons then?
Well, it just didn't qualify
Under section 2, we couldn't do it under leasing?
There's no lease offer on the table.
We can still discuss the lease without having the offer come to us.
That's not what the exception is for.
Okay, question. When did we sign the letter that we were rejecting the offer?
About a year and a half ago.
Okay, I'll save you the time. 6/25/24, November 25th. When was a declaratory judgment issued?
June 20.
August 26, 2024. When did we have closed session discussing a lease on this park? October 29th, 2024.
I would have to go back and check the closed session minutes.
I will do it. I've got all of the information here because I've been trying to get this timeline together, and I was a little ticked, to say the least, to hear that last week you were advising my fellow commissioners that, well, he doesn't have the right to put it on closed session. You had no clue what I was putting on closed session, number one. And then to talk about leases. Number 2, in subsection 2, you can discuss leases, and that's what I was going to discuss. And then to say that it's because of this, we have no beneficiary interest in the trust and use that as an excuse, among other things. All these timelines do not jive.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Obviously. And that's what I'm asking, are we able to go back and revisit this? You're
No,
going to say no.
because there's no,
There's an attorney in the newspaper that came back and said you all can, by mutual consent, basically.
not under closed session.
I didn't say under closed session and go back and revisit it. I said, can we go back and
Oh,
revisit
I
it?
thought you were asking about if you could do it in closed session.
We can do the lease, talk about the lease in closed session.
But
Absolutely.
there's no lease on the table.
We can talk about leasing. There was no lease on the
Well,
table.
you can
when we
talk
did.
about leasing a car.
Sure.
My advice, I would not break the sunshine law.
Wasn't breaking the sunshine law.
Well, we're
If you did it, then you did it on
Sam.
October 29th.
We're deviating. I'd like to, we have a big crowd here and we're here to address, so
Well, they're asking one thing, they're asking for us to revisit it. So are you gonna say we can't revisit it, Jill, or we can?
It's up to you. You can just try whatever you
Now
want.
it's up to us. But when I'm not here, you'll talk to these two and lead them in certain ways.
No, they have their own thoughts. They're capable of forming their own thoughts.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you guys were misinformed from the get-go. And it's caused strife amongst you guys too, you know. Hawthorne Bank was not forthright. I know, because I called all three of you, you know, once Dan Renfro contacted me that they had consigned a consent form, signing off, giving up your opportunity to accept the property for lease for $1 a year. When he called to inform me that, at that point I called you guys, each one of you, and asked the specific question of, you know, did the trust ever offer any money to help with the development? And all three of you were a fast, hard no, and that they never offered a dime. And then, so after that commission meeting, so that happened in June, you guys got timelines, it doesn't really matter, it was before I found out that this had happened. So in October, which is a public video you can watch, Gary Shepperly and I sat right here and we informed you guys that there was close to $4 million in this trust. And, you know, if you wanted proof of it, you sure could have asked, because I had a copy of his Edward Jones account right here, and there was over $3.2 million in his Edward Jones account after he died, which Gary Shepperly and myself and his brother Mike, which are Junior's nephews, upon Junior's instructions, told me where a copy of the trust was at, and upon him giving me keys and the combination, we went to his residence after he died and took pictures of those things. He also had money in a money market account at Hawthorne Bank, which would have been more than enough to cover the beneficiaries like myself and Gary and a few family members that Junior was very generous with and shared. That would have been from that pile. But we had copies of this. We informed you in October of 2024 that there were funds. Now granted, is it in the trust that they can control how much? Yeah, it is. But his words in that 350 words in that trust are very clear of what Mr. Wren's intentions were. And as I mentioned before, between conversations with myself, Gary, other neighbors, the promise of the land never being sold, they may not have new details, but he was sharing with them that that land's never going to be sold. But he did start in the last few years, start sharing why and about the park, which Janet knew very well too, and the people at Hawthorne. He played cards with Helen Schonsmeyer. All these people knew what was supposed to happen with Lawrence Wren's property. So I'm going to get back on point here. I know that we know that from the recent article in the paper that Greg Bexton made a comment that we have given a good faith effort to be collaborative between the trust and county. And I think you've kind of said it, but I'm going to point blank ask the question, do you guys agree that there was a good faith negotiation between the trust and yourselves to?
I think I learned more from you than I did from.
I'm going to say they haven't been very forthcoming. I know that I've said I don't think we had all the information. I'm not going to say I was necessarily lied to, but they have not been forthcoming. And so that's why I think we're here today, is I think it's only fair to revisit it. And I think they are the ones that are having the ability to fulfill this man's dreams and wishes, and if that's what he wanted. But we sat here in closed session and we were told by the gentleman who represented the bank at the time that he was adamant that money not be spent to develop this park. And everything else I've heard has been total opposite of that. So maybe there's a misunderstanding, but there's a whole lot of different stories now.
We are still just being told 15 to 20,000 is all that would be available to us.
I haven't even been given a number. I've been told that we're too far down this rabbit hole and it's too close to the auction date, so they're not going to revisit it.
Harry, you want to comment?
I think we use the term regretfully deny or accept the lease as prescribed. It had some really tough language because it talked about the sole discretion of the trustee. So even if you convince the trustee about how much ought to be used, the trustee has sole and absolute discretion. My hesitation is for the county to take on a project that will have an unknown cost to it, and even after the cost is incurred over a period of time, the county will never own the real estate. And I hear from the folks around that part of the county that we need to take advantage of this opportunity. But I will tell you, I don't hear from the people in Osage City or Schubert or Henley or anywhere else that would, want to go 20 miles or thereabouts to enjoy a park. I don't see it one of the core requirements of a county to have a county park. We've got roads, we've got bridges, we've got sheriffs, and we've got health departments, and we've got lots of things that are required and needed as services. Parks take a second place, in my opinion, and our entire park budget.
I can't keep my mouth shut.
You can keep
Why
it shut.
are you changing your attitude from when you talked to me on the phone? You're saying almost the opposite of what you told me on the phone. Why? Why is it different now than it was 2 weeks ago on the phone?
I deny it's different. How about that? And quit interrupting me, or you'll be asked.
They can ask me to leave. I'll leave quietly.
We have about $160,000 parks budget. This would be 10 times that with no revenue. We can't rent pasture. We can't sell hay bales. One of the earlier versions, and I don't know if it's in the final version, was that our income is limited to concessions. And it even had language in there that we could have a park, we could have a golf course. Can you imagine a golf course that couldn't charge for golf because it's not the concessions? This was poorly drafted.
So
You'd agree with that.
are you, we basically agree though, we're not wanting to have the expense of developing it into a park or to maintain it. But if we have the park, we've got a parks department that could help manage it, maybe look for other ways to fund it. And we've been talking about different ways to fund it. Eric's brought up a foundation. So, we're kicking different ways around. We're just saying, hold up the sale for now, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's reconsider some things. We've got different information. Let's come to the table. Let's talk about some stuff. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We can, sometimes it just doesn't work. But there are some other options out there. And it's worth trying. I'm not even a big parks person, and if you all were at the meetings, you heard me say that, and I'm here at the forefront. Eric has been kind enough to entertain me with ideas, knowing that he probably is going to get a no from me, but I'm one of his cheerleaders saying, if you want to develop the parks, you're right. Nobody down in Osage City has called me and said we need more parks. But this is an opportunity to take a look at. We've got new information. It's worth looking at. So I think that's all they're asking, is that they get a fair shake. If this was your neighbor, good friend, something like that, you'd be up here too. So I think that's just, in all fairness, what they're asking. And I think it's in the bank's shoes now. If they want to say, yeah, we can do this together and go to court and reconsider this, or they may just say, no, we don't want to do it.
just to follow up with Harry, I know he kind of hanging his hat on that, not owning the land thing, but Junior was offering to lease it to you for $1 a year for 99 years, or I can't remember the exact language, but I mean, to me, that's pretty much a donation thing, but I just wanted to kind of say that just as a reminder, Okay, and so this kind of rolls on to Eric next. In conversation with Jill Dobbs, which I didn't have, but one of the guys in the group did, she mentioned that the county never presented a plan to develop and maintain the property. In your defense, I know they always discouraged you that they weren't offering much money, so you kind of drug your feet maybe. But I know recently I had asked Eric if he would, even despite that conversation, would you please go ahead and make up a formal offer? And so, are you willing to do that, or have you done that?
I've talked to Commissioner Helsher about that, and we put together a plan. We did this back a year ago or so and presented it to our Parks Committee, and they agreed at the time with the County Commission that there just wasn't any money to be able to do anything. And so just a rough plan of what we would do if we had the opportunity to do it is a road going down to the lake with a parking lot, pavilion, dock, bathroom. Those are all things that could come with it, and a walking trail around the lake.
And I guess a plan could show phases as well. I know from recent conversation you shared you're taking over the park thing. You want to see the Parks Department grow, and you shared recently that there's a new tax coming, I think in 2027. And that you could foresee that there's funds that may be becoming available down the road. Can you lighten us on that?
We have half-cent sales tax for capital improvements, and that's on a 5-year sunset. It expires this year, and so there's a vote to extend that. We're looking at a 10-year sunset on the next one. This current cycle, the money for parks, allotted to parks, the total amount was already expended a couple of years ago, so we had no money. Anything that we would draw out of that sales tax funding source would have to take it from something else. In the future, we do a lot of set number for parks. That number is being discussed right now. There would be funds available if the county commission chooses to move forward with something, and something does happen with the trust on the trust side of it. So there would be some money, but that again takes away from other planned improvements. We're already planning an improvement to build a playground and bathroom, and expand what we have at the current J.C. Cole County Park, and then we also need to do playground updates on Thanen Park. So we still have to update or improve the current parks that we have. So that would have to compete with additional money if we were to take on another park.
Okay, so I guess my pointed question for you is, can we ask you to present a plan, and we would like for it to show a basic, just not all the bells and whistles right off the bat type of here's phase 1, phase 2, or possibilities if you would do it. We would like to ask you to present a written proposal to Jill Dobbs right away, within the week or two, something real soon. Can we ask you to do that, and will you do that?
I've given that to Commissioner Helsher and can give it to the rest of the commission if they choose to do that. I won't do that directly. The county commission will have to do that.
So you've got a written plan that you've given to the commissioners and that they can present to Jill Dobbs, or have me.
Mark, I emailed her this morning about 6:30.
With those
I told them last week, I said, I know you sent us we're not really going to change direction on this. And so I said, well, I'm going to send y'all a proposal, a plan. And I haven't talked to the other two commissioners. I told them that this is just on me right now till we have something to even negotiate. It's not even worth wasting time on it. So it basically had what Eric had drawn up, and it comes to a total to make a decent parks probably around $220,000. So Eric even proposed, well, we could start with the road, parking, maybe some trails, had, a bathroom. I said, well, we can get even more basic than that. We can put a road and a parking lot in there to start with if that's what we need to do. If they can only put so much to start with. There's different ways to maybe do it, but if we don't sit down and talk about it and get smarter people at the table than us, then it's not going to happen anyway. So that's how Eric gets drug into it. I get an engineer in there, so.
Well, it seems like, everybody wants to kick the can back at each other. It's like when whoever had the conversation, Tony Porter, I think may have been the one that talked to Jill, they want to kick the can your way that, well, they never given us a written proposal. And, but you know what I mean? So it's like, we are requesting that you guys go ahead and present, and I don't know if it needs to be something that the three of you agree on, because like you said, it sounded like you said it, but you really hadn't conversed with these two guys. So I don't know if that has to happen, but we, the people, are asking you that you would please at least do that. Then she can't say, even if it doesn't do any good, she can't say that that you guys didn't have a proposal,
So Mark, at your meeting Saturday, I said I would call the bank back. Let's see where they're at with it, if we can revisit this, or if they're just gonna say no. So I called, left a message. Monday, she wasn't in. She called me back immediately. Tuesday morning, talked with her and Mr. Bexton, and basically told them, said, okay, instead of putting the pressure on you all, let's try to come up with some kind of proposal, and I'll get it to you. And we had our regular meeting on Thursday. I had a closed session because I did want to talk to my fellow commissioners, and they took the advice of our county councilor that we couldn't have a closed session meeting talking about leasing when I want to talk about leasing, but I didn't have a proposal, so I guess we didn't have anything to talk about. I don't know where it's coming from. It's ridiculous. So basically after Tuesday's meeting, or we got down after the meeting Thursday, I emailed or called Jill. She said, I'll see if I can get the powers to be to come to the meeting Tuesday. We can discuss this. And then I got the letter Thursday afternoon saying thanks, but no thanks. We're going to proceed with the sale. So then I said, well, I'm going to still get you an offer. We'll throw something together. I had Eric kind of take his pencil and change some of the proposed prices, see where we're at, try to make sure we're in a good faith effort here in pricing. And so that's what I said, I'll get something to you by Tuesday. I sent it this morning. I still got a closed session on the agenda today. If they want to come up and talk about it, and they can call or text, we can talk about it. So it's kind of in their court right now. Now, I don't know if we can't do, go to court, if they'll even entertain the idea of revisiting it, if it's got to be consent by both parties, or what. But I mean,
So I guess the answer, I feel like, sometimes I'm like, okay, now what all do you say? You feel like
myself.
You do feel like you have given a written proposal to the bank, right? That's basically what you just said, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
I feel like I have. That's the way I would state it. Yes, I've given them a proposal.
But I want to thank you, Jeff, and guys, just for hearing us out. But Jeff has been a little more active, and I know it sounds like I heard some reasons why you can't, have to have a quorum if there's more. I kind of heard that, but thanks, Jeff. I just want to appreciate it. At least let us have an ear,
I want to give the impression I hate parks. I was the first person to meet with.
We're excited.
Mr. Renfro. And I pursued a few things, and I told him, this would be a great place for model things. We're in the running from wildflower pots, bird watching, bees, pollination. We'd pollinate the whole county from this place. We looked at Eagle Scout programs where Eagle Scouts could come out there and have their projects. The forest out there could be great, pine, oak, hickory, walnut, pecan, know it. But we couldn't even, if we had that property and tried to generate a few dollars, let's say a cell phone company came to us, which they're coming to us on our other park, and say, we want to put a cell phone tower there, and we're willing to lease the land from you so that, you have some return on your investment. We couldn't even do that. This trust is so tight with what the county can do or not do, that just makes it so difficult to make this work.
I'm talking about all the, the 350 words versus the 4, but this brings up another subject. It's in the trust that there was to be an advisory committee formed, and that was to assist you guys in putting this thing together, and that the bank was to listen to the advisory committee. And Lawrence Wren verbally told myself and Gary and his brother Mike that we were to be on that advisory committee. And if you read it, I think it gives language that one of those advisors could be a representative of the trust, but that the other advisors are to be out of, neighbors, friends, family, whatever. Of course, Junior made that stuff pretty clear. I got a feeling they got a note, but it didn't get typed up to be, being somewhere official. But that never, in fact, just do I know, that never happened. And so if it's so easy for them to make words that gives them total control, if we had an advisory committee, there's another thing. It was supposed to, the way I'm reading it, it's supposed to have been a 501c was supposed to be set up. Carla Steck, of course, our research expert, that never happened. And so would it really have been that hard to overcome when there's things like that right there that keep us from moving forward with Mr. Wren's wishes? And again, here we go. And I would love for, nobody's willing to, they say it's all private, we can't tell you that. But verify to me, because to I know, Junior never had his own representation. It was always the bank's attorney that prepared all these documents. I'm not going to take that to court, but I never heard him talk about having his own attorney. He had their attorneys doing this stuff. So could we get something that would give some leeway to that when everybody's on page? Would the judge say, okay, well, the advisory committee agreed, the people on the 501c board have agreed, let's change that. I'm not a lawyer, but if it's so easy for him to ignore everything he said and go by 4 words, sure. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it, Harry. So I understand your concern, but that would have been something we could ask the lawyers. But that also brings up the subject: why was the 501c never set up? Why was the advisory committee never? Why did that never happen? I got invited to one meeting. The very first meeting when we presented to you guys that the Wrens wanted to give you the land, you guys were excited.
Stop.
Lease the
They didn't want to give us the land.
Give you the opportunity through a lease. Is that better?
Yes, it is.
You want it for $1 for a lifetime, for a year. I know there's guys here willing to pay the $100 to cover the 100 years. But so anyway, I'll get back on point here, but
the lease was there so the county couldn't sell the land.
right.
Obviously, and that is the problem we're experiencing right now, right? So Junior had foresight.
That's why he
to
chose
prevent things just like this.
And really, the only advice came from me.
Thank you.
As far as like adding the college scholarships as a plan B, or to make it a lease instead of being able to give it to you, because he did have it to where you guys were going to get it. But I just brought it. What are you going to do if they don't do what you told them to do? And that's why I got switched, because again, he was trusting the trust to honor his wishes. Well, I've kind of lost track, but I think I better get back on here. Keep moving here.
I think Tony's going to speak a little bit too.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know how, we have a kind of a game plan here. I don't know if you've gone through and where are we at on time, yeah.
Do I have a time limit? I ain't got much more, but.
Go ahead first, Mark, finish, and then.
Once you talked about, the decline of lease opportunity versus rejection of conveyance, you've kind of cleared that up, Harry. So, again, this from the first thing I said, I've got a note here: request a voluntary pause on any disposition, stop the sale while the below items are completed. And we've got down here, need to establish the Park Advisory Committee as per in the trust. It's paragraph 3.5.2 on page 3 to produce or identify the core documents the public should rely on. And I keep getting turned down as if they can't do that. The certified trust exerts governing the park purpose, reversion, and savings clause. The consent judgment in any exhibits and meeting packets related to the lease conveyance discussions. Nonprofit implementation path. We request discussion of a practical path to implement the intended 501c. Problem with that is I know that's really not something you guys can do. That's something that I got to put on the bank, or that they should be answering to. But I hope when you plead with the judge that maybe those 3 items are things that you can say, listen, Judge, there's things in that trust that have found out that you didn't know that were supposed to happen that didn't happen. And when you plead with the judge, maybe use those as things to help plead for him to help stop that sale. Charitable trust. We request confirmation that the Attorney General has been informed as appropriate and that charitable safeguards have been considered before any irreversible sale. Because we don't stop this sale, there's nothing, it's over. you know, that they've got, you know, we can provide volunteers a basic maintenance and stewardship plan and experienced nonprofit administrative support, including potential fiscal sponsorship. So the park purpose can be implemented without burdening the county. We're asking for cooperation and clarity before irreversible disposition occurs. And then I'll go ahead and stop. And would you want Carla to talk first?
I have one little thing after he speaking.
Tony Brennicky, and guys, there's a lot of neighbors here. Gary Boom Boom's got a letter, but I know we've been talking a while. So I was going to express some of that, but I'm going to try to wrap it up here for you. But Tony Brennicky, he lives above the lake. He got to know Junior. I'm going to let him talk. If you guys, I asked about if a neighbor could share a letter, then Carl will have a few words and we'll quit.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Sam, Judge Byron Kinder lives out in our area, and he's a proponent of this park, and he's a proponent of the commission. Like he understands what you guys are up against, but he wants to see this revisited. And so I want to take a minute this morning here. I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak. So again, my name is Tony Brennicky. I live on Wade Road, adjacent to the land held in Mr. Wren's trust. So I am here today to encourage Hawthorne Bank and the Cole County Commissioners to re-engage in the development of the Wren County Park. When someone establishes a trust and funds it with clear intentions, the trustees and the institution managing the trust have a responsibility to make a sincere effort to honor those wishes. Lawrence and Mary Wren Jr. provided this county with an extraordinary gift: 175 acres of land with the clear intent that it be developed into a public park for the people of this county. And they didn't just leave land. They left millions of dollars, plural, millions of dollars, to develop and maintain this park. They planned ahead. They did everything right. Their only oversight was trusting Hawthorne Bank and Cole County to honor the wishes and do the right thing. It appears that the commission was not fully informed by the bank regarding the true extent of funding available to develop and maintain this park. That lack of information should prompt further inquiry and renewed dialogue, not the liquidation of the land. The question before us is whether the bank and commission have acted and are acting in the best interest of Cole County, or are they acting in the interest of what is easiest, most convenient for those in office? The park is not just an opportunity for the county, but a responsibility. A 175-acre park backed by millions of private dollars is not a liability. Not a liability, but a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yes.
It is an investment in families, in outdoor recreation, in conservation, and in the quality of life that makes people want to stay and live in Cole County. In 1 month, this land will be auctioned off. Once that happens, there is no second chance, no negotiation, no future vote, no way to recover the land, the funding, or the intent of the donor. Leadership is not about avoiding complexity or conflict. Leadership is about asking hard questions, stepping forward, and doing what is right. If this land is sold, it will not be remembered as an unavoidable loss. It will be remembered as a decision to let a public gift disappear without exhausting every reasonable effort to save it. Lawrence Wren Jr. was a veteran who believed in his country and his community. Now his community is watching to see if its leaders will honor his legacy.
Thank you.
I can't take 100% credit. My wife, Elisa, helped me write that. And Harry and my wife worked together at Williams Keepers for many, many years. Harry and her grandfather worked together at Williams Keepers for many, many years. And I would hope that that relationship would help drive you in the right decision here in revisiting this park. Thank you. I'm going to let Carl speak.
The motion.
Okay, read the motion? All right.
Well, I can speak quickly first if you want.
Okay.
Okay. So a charitable organization is what this trust was to be. Were you all aware that it was a charitable organization?
Where does does it say that?
In the trust. The first few pages establish how it operates. One person from the bank on the advisory committee, 2 people outside the bank. A charitable organization, if it went to court, Ms. LaHue should have called the AG. The AG defends that charitable organization. Was there anybody at the court that defended the charitable trust?
Where's the trustee on this? If there was a requirement for the trust to do something, they're the trustee.
So you all have been working on this for a couple of years. You should read what the trust says. So were you aware it's a charitable organization, Eric, that a 501c3 should be established? This is how the trust is supposed to operate. So the fiscal agent is the trust at Exchange Bank. They should have informed you, or you should have read the trust. So currently, we have a violation of fiduciary responsibility by the bank. But I would hope that you have respect for land, and I would hope that maybe you seek outside counsel on this. Are there any questions from the people? Thank you for your time.
So we have a motion that we'd like to propose. So we ask a commissioner to make a motion for the commission to do the following. Clarify the record. The commission's action on June 25th, 2024 is accurately described as declining the opportunity to lease the Wren property, or otherwise declining to proceed with the proposed lease arrangement. This was not a policy decision based on county capacity or considerations and is not intended to represent a legal finding of impossibility or a determination that the donor's purpose cannot be carried out in any form. 2, direct staff to publish a short written clarification, minutes, addendum, or letter stating whether the county declined a proposed lease or proposed conveyance or both, and the general reasons, policy and capacity. Request a voluntary pause from the trustee and any selling agents for 30 to 60 days on any irreversible disposition steps while the following items are completed. Identify and make available the core documents relied on, so the trust, consent judgments, exhibits, etc. Evaluate a practical implementation plan for the intended 501c3 operator, and convene the advisory governance step, the Park Advisory Council, described in the trust structure, including consideration of community relative representatives for the advisory seats. Schedule a dedicated public discussion on this item at the next meeting, or a special meeting if necessary, including time for public comment. This motion is being offered to ensure clarity for the public record and to avoid irreversible action while practical cooperative solutions are evaluated, as Jeff has been advocating for. It's a really long motion, I apologize. There's a lot to this.
Yeah, we were removed in August from the trust, Cole County was. And basically it was because of this document where we said we do not have the personnel or the funding to develop this. And, you know, as I said, we're told there was $15,000 to $20,000 earmarked for the park. Last week, I was told it's still just $15,000 to $20,000. So, you know, when you're saying there's millions, we have to go with what the trust tells us, and they are not saying that there is $3 to $4 million for us to use to develop this park. So,
can I ask a question? If it wouldn't have been for the $1 a year lease, and the reason he did that so you guys couldn't sell it, if anybody gave the land to you, would you have accepted the offer?
if it was sold to us or given to us instead of being
Given to
leased.
you without the $1 a year lease, would you all have accepted the offer? Would you have been able to do
He
something with
handed you the
it?
deed.
I don't know, because there still have been a lot of strings attached to it to turn it into, to develop it into a park. So I'm speaking for just one. If I can get
$1 a
it,
year is to keep you from selling it, keep the county from selling it. He didn't want it to be sold. So that's why the $1 a year.
right, and I understand that.
So if
But we didn't have the money to develop it into a park and to
If we
maintain
didn't
it.
have the money to develop it the first time it was offered to you all, I fully understand that. I think everybody in this room understands that. I think everybody in this room understands why you made the decision that you made based off the information you had. The question that I have for you all is, why didn't we ask questions, first of all, if we didn't have the money and the county has this opportunity, why didn't we go to the county and say, we got this opportunity, does anybody want to put some private money in this? Anybody want to make a donation? I mean, most of these parks are created by donations, not because you all just go out and buy some property and start making parks. It's somebody has donated funds or property. But nobody asked that question. Why?
I don't go out looking for parks. I mean, I'll be point blank honest with you, Steve.
I know your take on the parks.
Maybe I'm not so proud to say it. I'm just not going out and looking for more parks.
Right.
I got people that don't feel we need any more. So I really didn't dig deep into it at all. I didn't even dig shallow. We just said, hey, y'all have some money, you can help with this. We're at 15 to 20, and that's kind of where it was this drop. So I said it before, hindsight 2020, and I'm here now talking about possibly establishing a foundation, seeing what we can work with. My only motion today, I'll simplify your motion, is that we revisit this and we direct the counselor to figure out how we can return to the courts by mutual consent to reopen the issue. And
Could you
I
add
guess
public
that's-
comment to that motion, Jeff?
I'm gonna make the motion. If somebody seconds it, then we can have discussion on it, so.
Could you restate your motion?
I'm gonna make a motion where you direct county staff, probably our county attorney, to look into this project, revisit the project, and at the possibility of returning to the courts by mutual consent. So I'm not putting it on us, not putting it on them, just saying, if we can even talk about it, we gotta get this taken care of by mutual consent.
So I can submit this motion too, for the record, to help.
How about putting a please do it, in other words, on or before?
Okay. What's the sale date? February 4th?
February.
7th of February.
February
7th of February is when they're selling it.
Yeah.
So this week.
It's an now or never.
Yeah, it's now or never, folks.
So if you don't want to make the decision today, you need to make it tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, it really need to be made
So
today.
now we're just putting an extension on to, I guess, an answer from them to tell us we can mutually consent to it.
That's correct.
Well, there's an internal conflict of interest. You know, we're talking about the motion, but we've got somebody who's representing Hawthorne Bank as well as the Cole County Parks Committee that serves on that, right? There's a little bit of conflict of interest there. And I think that needs to be looked into a little bit.
I'm gonna go back to my motion at this
Yes.
point, though.
Thank you, Jim.
My motion is gonna be that we direct our county counselor to revisit the matter and to give us our options as far as revisiting the matter, if we can do the mutual consent to reopen the issue, or what options we have. And that is my motion. If we want to put a timeline on it, I mean, February 7th is the timeline. It's kind of self-written in my mind, so.
Today.
I will second your motion.
Okay.
As restated.
The only thing I would still ask is that we revisit what funds would be available to develop this park, because we can do this, but if they're still we're just told there's $15,000 to $20,000, it's kind of a moot point.
That's the public too. As a beneficiary, do you not have a right to see where that money is today?
They tell me that I don't, and that
But I believe you have that right. All of the beneficiaries should be able to see where the funding is.
It is tough because, they tell you that they allude, which several of you guys have shared with me, they alluded that there's not much money there. I got a picture of his account the day, pretty much the day he died. He had over $3.2 million. And he had more than that, or not that much, but several $100,000 in a money market account. We know that. So, but they're not held accountable.
That's not what's being offered to us.
My motion has nothing to do with the money. I just want to be able to revisit it, and at that point, we can ask if they'll maybe postpone the sale or pull it off the table. If they say they're not going to, that we can't do anything about that. But this is actually to try to get the ball rolling. We can talk to them, see if they will come to the table. We still don't have the money or the personnel to do it, so we're going to have to figure something out. And if they just still offer 15 to 20, that's still something we got to work around.
So 501c3 is for to become friends of the park, to get donations. But that was ignored.
I call it friends out there.
That structure is to be established.
Right. But that's not on us to make sure that the trust is being.
But it's a way to get to the bank and tell them to do what's right.
And to stop the sale through the court if we need to with Judge Green. You guys weren't given all the information. Judge, can you stop the sale then?
We have a motion and a second. Would you call for the question? Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think that's the one thing we can do to really just get it kind of moving one way or the other. And if the bank just point blank says no, because we got to do it by mutual consent the way it sounds.
How do we get the bank to be honest? Forthcoming.
Who holds them accountable?
I'm a politician. Why are you asking me?
I don't know. I'm not asking you.
Attorney General.
Maybe we put it out there for, just for discussion. I mean, that's a problem. There's obviously a discrepancy between what Mark is saying and what the bank is saying. So we got to figure out why there's a discrepancy. Why are they not willing to do what the trust says?
I think that's a question today, gentlemen, and that's it right now is, okay, we understand what you were told, we believe that. The point is, the trust laid out some other provisions. Who is the authority to go look at that trust and hold the bank accountable for what that document says? And I know that's not you, I get it.
Yes.
Who is that authority? How do we get that to happen?
Can you help us with that, Jill?
It's not I don't know.
Well, you're legal advice for the county.
We're asking who would we go to that could hold them accountable?
Well, as far as I know, none of you has any legal standing.
It's a charitable trust. The AG should have been invited to the court case.
Okay, Carla, why don't you call the AGO?
We're asking our elected officials to do some work for us.
I am not a trust expert, and I did not have any involvement with this trust.
You signed the waivers that went to court.
Yeah.
Well, I signed on behalf of them, and I'm not discussing what I did at this point. This is not
what you did.
I wasn't involved with the trust in writing the trust or
We're involved in the court case, the consent judgment.
Well, you can read the consent. You can read the judgments, and there you go.
Read them.
Okay.
They're filled with word salad.
Okay. I just wanted to know if you could point us in the right direction.
I don't know. You get your own counsel to advise you. And from what I understand from the newspaper, John Landwehr told you didn't have any standing to challenge it.
No, he was not representing anybody. I think the News Tribune had talked to him.
Well, I'm not representing them either.
I'm just saying that you represent us, and they're asking you to look into it or let them know.
You're asking me to
You represent us.
No, I don't, Carla.
We're the county people.
Well, I tell you what. This is my law license, and I'm familiar with the Supreme Court rules of professional
And it's
conduct.
Supreme Court, we can put a little complaint in also.
Well,
Let's be cool, guys.
Okay, hold on.
We have a motion, we go to
I just got one comment.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Bushman, you made the comment that you were told by the trust $20,000 and that figure is still there. We haven't been told that there's $20,000 in the trust. So is the bank then saying we're only allowing 20,000, or is the bank saying that's all we have?
Clarify that.
I don't know.
That's what we
This
gotta
is
find out.
basic, because we are not,
Ask more questions.
we are not a part of the trust any longer. With Judge Green's ruling in August, we are not a part of it. So they're gonna talk to me just the same as they talk to you. And so, I'm not gonna get more information. My question is still, I keep hearing about the 3 to 4 million.
Which I sent you a copy of.
Yeah, that's a, so we, we need to find out if there is more money available to develop this park.
Yes.
Yes.
And again, I think that it's gonna go back to Hawthorne Bank's trust department. And that's about all we can do. And let's hope that, because again, we have the deadline of this auction. Let's hope that perhaps we can start a dialogue with them.
I emailed them asking for more information. I did not say how much money's in the account. None of my damn business. Okay, I really don't care. I just want to know what money amount can they work with? Are they willing to work with? Are they even willing to revisit it? I think that's where we're at. I think my motion today was just kind of direct. I don't know if we're going to have to hire outside counsel or something to go and look at revisiting this, because I would think that Jill would be able to at least maybe find us an answer.
I'm going to look into it, Jeff.
But there's trust stuff, and she said she's not an expert on that.
Ben, instead of I don't know.
Well, time is of the essence, so we just need to.
He's got a comment, and then we'll drop the
Yes.
deal.
To help fund the park, Daisy Farm will have a first fundraiser, and we'll have one every year to help fund the park.
Yes.
Donated, 100%. We'll donate that.
That's great. It is.
I'm gonna leave this letter for you, Jeff. I'm not gonna read it, but you can pass it around, or you can throw it in the trash, whatever you wanna do.
Same pictures you sent me the last time.
And if anybody else has anything to put on the record for today and you want to write it down, that'd be great, since we're not allowed to speak.
Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
All right.
We'll get out of your hair.
We're gonna leave.
Tony Brannicky, would you hang out for just a minute?
You bet.
Walk you outside.
Okay, John.
Mark, yeah. Take a hand for John.
No, I don't need one, but I'm taking one.
Good to see you. I'll be at that first excursion. Are you leaving?
No, I didn't put all that together, and then my wife.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you, John.
Yeah, is it really? You guys remember Junior's hat from last time? No, that was Junior's hat that he wore to town every time he went to town.
That's a good hat.
Yeah. He had a few, and they were high. He'd have $1,000 pair of boots.
I just really
He'd go to Hy-Vee dressed like that.
I really do wish that we could have met Mr. Wren before his passing, and we wouldn't be having to go through all this today.
Stuff. The bank never, for 20 years, they never came out to see the farm or talk to Junior about that farm.
Oh, we walked it, we went out and walked it, we
2 years after he died, of course, I had offered him to die, and I didn't think, 2 years later, I still had them down there. So, but hopefully, they still didn't know there's cows.
No, but yeah, there's still cows.
They never even tried there.
But anyway, no, we did. I walked that 170 some acres, and with my back and the way that slopes down, that was a lot of fun. We're still on, so we need to move ahead. But anyway, thank you, Mark.
Hey, Jill, they're holding the hotline. Thanks for those in. I know it's hard. You know, everybody's mad and I'm probably, who knows? You know, that's kind of. Well, thank you, Sheila. Thank you, guys.
Well, there you go.
Okay, we're gonna go back to our agenda. So,
I don't have a dog
we
here.
have,
Hold on. You just want to close that door because they'll probably be out there chit chatting. We got these doors open.
okay, we have ordinances introduced, the approval of the Cole County Parks pet leash and waste ordinance.
So no coincidence that we're talking about parks right after we were talking about that. So,
Here's the old ordinance for them to rescind.
so we, as the commission knows, we received a complaint, I'm going to say about 2 to 3 months ago, about a dog issue out at JC Cole County Park. And through some investigation, research into what we actually had on file for ordinances or, you know, requirements or no requirements for leashes at a park, we found very inconsistent, no ordinance stating that there was a leash required, and then inconsistency in the rules that were published on the rule board at each park. They went anywhere from nothing mentioned at all to should be on a leash and shall be on a leash. But at the end of the day, there was nothing enforceable because there was no ordinance. There was an ordinance for removing pet waste at a park, but it had some issues and needed to be redrafted anyway. So we worked to draft a new Cole County Parks ordinance, and it states that all pet animals within Cole County Parks shall remain under the influence, or under the immediate control of the owner at all times. All pet animals within a park shall be on a leash at all times within park boundaries, except in clearly marked designated off-leash areas, which could be a dog park, a future dog park if we decide to do that. And then any person in charge of control of a pet animal shall remove, you know, the pet waste if they do that and put in designated receptacles, and then there's a fine if somebody's found in violation. So we have this draft of the Parks Ordinance and sent it around for some comments. Worked with Jill to get it into the final form, and so it's ready for approval tonight. Is there any questions?
We have to rescind the other one already.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. So the previous one, I think we rescinded first, and then approve this new one.
Calling this exactly?
It is
Parks pet leash and waste
pet leash and
ordinance.
waste ordinance.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the Cole County Parks pet leash and waste ordinance.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I'd like to move to rescind the
Yes.
previous animal waste ordinance.
Okay, I'll make the motion to rescind the previous animal waste ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Appointments by commission, the appointment of Bradley Kellerman to the Cole County Parks Committee. I have our order here to
There's no doubt about the vacancy here, right?
Correct.
Were you advised by him that he was leaving the county or not?
Yes, he communicated with us a month or two in advance.
Okay.
We had known that Adam may be moving, and he made it official and let us know before the last meeting we had, so late September, early October.
I'll make a motion. Cole County sign the order appointing Bradley
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Say this before he watches the meeting and changes his mind.
Okay. Did that. Approval and signing of agreement for the CART cost-sharing agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation.
So part of the County Aid Road Trust provides funds, of course, to the county for road maintenance. We get a set amount every year, and it changes. It's with the gas tax and vehicle sales taxes and fees collected in Cole County. But some of those funds also go to the Missouri Department of Transportation to maintain access roads to their conservation areas. And those roads in Cole County that access these conservation areas, we get reimbursed for rock placed on those roads. We've been doing this, I'm gonna say about 3 to 4 years. And it's a fairly decent amount, and that amount to offset some of our costs just allows us to spend more money on the other roads. So the Scribner Road Conservation Area, the Smith Conservation Area, and then Marion Bottoms Conservation Areas. I listed the different roads that are considered for this. The grand total potential reimbursement is $29,025, and it's on a reimbursement basis. So actual rock placed on these roads we turn in for reimbursement, and that's a not to exceed amount. So have an agreement we have to do each year, and it spells out all that information. So I recommend approval of this agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation for the CART cost share.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the agreement for the CART cost share agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
You're the one that signs that.
Okay. Bid award of 2025-31 towing and storage of motor vehicles for the Sheriff's Department. The attorneys for Diamond Towing have requested that we table this until next week because they are not able to attend today.
So, yeah, they weren't able to be here today. I'm not going to be available next week, so I don't know if we want to kick it off for 2 weeks. Or I can try to attend virtually, but
I have a question on that one. There's another company in there that tried getting that bid in there too. That's Broadway Record. That's a Columbia.
that's why I got kicked out or kicked off till today.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious on that. Like, are they actually able to bid on that since they are a Columbia-based company?
Well, I think anybody can bid on it. Doesn't matter. I mean, we can take that into consideration if that's what you're asking.
I'm just kind of curious on it. It's just a question that I had. So, I mean, I know they have one truck that runs around here, but that's all they got. You know.
Yeah, this one there's, I guess, a lot going on with. So I would like to be at the meeting to hear it all, and not necessarily virtually. So if we can, I don't know when it has to be signed by or awarded.
There's no set date.
So we're not going to expire or anything. So we keep going.
So will you be back the 27th?
Yes, I should be back. There's one thing on this bid that I don't remember ever running into it, but there is another offer in there to pay the county for the contract. So got a question about that. I know there's been some rumblings about, I don't know, I call it the pay to play. So.
Is that an option on there? Because like I didn't see that on the bid sheet where I could put that in there.
Well, it didn't say put your pay to play amount here. It was just something that was included in it. And so, heard somebody call it a drive or whatever. So I think there needs some clarification on that.
You may want to talk to the prosecuting attorney.
I mean, you're our attorney, so I was talking to you because we're the ones that we asked you to clarify this.
I've opined on that, and my opinion is that that can be construed as a bribe. I've also spoken to our prosecuting attorney, and he concurs with me.
Okay, so then you're saying the city's taking bribes?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not their attorney.
I've just asked for clarification because that is something we got to take into consideration. We've never run into this before. And instead of you being, objective and just bringing us information, you're waltzing around the hallway calling it a bribe at the top of your damn
I think
voice.
that's speaking objectively to it. I've prosecuted.
That's your opinion.
I've been a prosecutor before, and the current elected prosecutor believes that. Now,
So-
would you like for me to have Locke come down and talk with you?
You're our county attorney.
Tell you what, why don't we
need you
table
then if we have
this
Locke?
until,
Because he's the one who would file charges against you for public service.
So then you're going to tell him he needs to file charges against the city?
No,
We're doing
I
this
don't.
meeting?
That's up to him. I don't tell him how to do his job.
I would make a motion, we table this until January 27th, when you will be back, and we can have more discussion.
I'll second.
Okay.
I'm going to vote against a table. I think I know enough to award the bid today. I think we got voted on this.
Call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Okay.
So the 27th.
Yes, the 27th, we will. And we might actually see if our prosecuting attorney can come down and attend this meeting.
Will they give us a call on the time and all that, and let us know all that stuff there?
We need to. That's been, I don't know, I've been talking to Jessica about that too. I think we really need to let people know. And I don't know, we don't run into a whole lot of them that have just a whole lot of discussion, or there's, I don't know, maybe gray areas, whatever you want to call it. But maybe let people know that they've been opened. You send us the bid tabs, so do you have an email do you send them a bid tab?
Afterwards.
Okay, so they get a bid tab already, so then when we get a date set for awarding it, if we just want to send that out to everybody too, so they know if they got questions or they want to come in and find out who's being recommended or whatever, so. I don't, how hard would that be?
I mean, I can just send an email to them.
So, I'm talking to you like you're the purchasing agent, which.
No, I mean, we can do that if that's what the route you guys want to take. I can send an email, or the purchasing agent can send an email.
That would be good.
And just.
I just think then everybody knows, and they can't call us and say, hey, I didn't know it was being recorded. Like, well, you should have an email or been invited.
We can definitely start, that's nothing we've done in the past, but we can definitely do that going forward. I don't see an issue with
Okay,
that.
well, let's see if there's any issues with it, and then on this one, let's try to let everybody that's involved know about it.
So, Sheriff, we're on a, what you call rotation basis, so now whenever a tow is needed, you just go to the list and keep rotating through.
Dispatch has that list.
Dispatch.
So we just call and they send whoever's next on the call.
So this will not jeopardize.
No.
Okay.
I'd like to get it resolved, but yeah, I can wait till the 27th.
Okay. New business, accounts payable review.
There's no accounts payable today.
Okay. Assessor's office to present errors and omissions, Tom Butler.
Thanks, guys. Y'all got to enjoy a show. At least we didn't even charge for that.
Do what?
So we got to enjoy a show. We didn't even charge for
I
that.
thought it was interesting. It was interesting to see.
We're gonna start charging for it
There you
then.
go. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
I just have one property today. I'm here to request an abatement on the 2025 real estate tax bill on a property on United Road. The property itself, the parcel itself, is just a cell tower. The owner, American Tower, phoned us last Thursday and stated that the tower had been removed in June of 2024 and requested that the 2025 bill be abated. I searched the FCC website and it gave me information verifying that the tower was dismantled in 2024. I went out there and just looking at the site where it was at previously, it looked like it had been gone a year or two. So the land itself is assessed to the landowner who had leased space to American Tower. So it's just on the tower itself is what we're requesting to be abated.
Sounds reasonable to me. We're satisfied that it was not there on 1/1/25.
Yeah, and I wish we had been notified prior, but that's what it is.
I'll make a motion to accept the assessor's office E&O on the cell tower at, give the address, our parcel number.
12,000 United Road.
That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unfinished business. Jeff, you've got closed session real estate.
No, that was just if.
With the, yeah, I was gonna say with the
Come back
direction
Yeah,
we
don't
gave
need
till,
Thanks, sir.
okay.
So we're done.
All righty.
I need to get going. Is there anything I need to do for what all that's gonna look like in the next day or two?
Well, I think you're part of that motion in some respects.
I'm leaving for St. Louis and I'm out of pocket this afternoon and tomorrow till mid-morning or so. I'll be staying overnight down there, so.
I can forward what you sent to me.
Yeah.
For their review then.
What I sent to you I would have nothing more beyond what I gave you the other day.
Absolutely.
And if you need anything, just call. I'll just be able to get you anything tomorrow.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Okay. There's nothing else to come before us. I would request a recess. 4:30.
Okay. Recess or happy hour? Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.